slaves. Oakley talks about the housewife. And she says that the housewife is the primary role for women. She said that in the 19th century, because of industrialization, women were excluded from the workplace. This is due to industrialization. And that Oakley also says the housewife role is socially constructed. What does that mean? That means that women aren't born natural carers. It means that because of laws in labour, i.e. that children weren't allowed to work in the factories, that children had to stay in compulsory education, somebody had to stay at home and look after the children, and it turned out to be the mothers. Therefore society needed women to stay at home, and that's why the whole notion of the housewife has basically emerged. It wasn't just that women were born weaker, the fairer sex. Okay, let's talk about the impact of women in work and how that has impacted on couples. Gershuni found that men whose wives worked full-time did more domestic work. So when women work, Gershuni found that men helped in the house. She found that this change in values then helped couples accept that women have to work and so are adapting to life to fit that. And Gershuni also said that jobs in the house are still sex typed. What does that mean? It means that men do DIY and women do cleaning. Let's talk about the commercialization of housework. Couples can now buy in goods and services, so you can pay for help in the house, and you can pay for machinery in the house like microwaves, tumble dryers and things to make life easier. Okay, Shure argues that this has led to the death of the housewife role. But only for the well-off, so there is a divide between the rich and the poor. Ferry and Smith talk about the notion of the dual burden. The dual burden is when women have to work and paid work and then come home and basically do a full day's work when they come back, and that men benefit from this. Morris found that even where the wife was working and the husband was unemployed, she was still the one who did most of the work at the house. The triple shift was a term by Duncombe and Marsden. And the triple shift refers to women carrying the dual burden, and as well as a dual burden and not another shift on top of that. So the triple shift is emotional work, domestic labour, that's emotional would be looking after the children, domestic would be housework, and also paid work. The next topic in regards to couples would be resources and decision making. So, who buys what and who makes the major decisions? Kempson found that women in low-income families denied their own needs. So where money is low, women go without so that their children usually can survive or are more comfortable. Also in households where there's lower income, Kempson found that women were more likely to suffer in poverty than men. Pal and Vogler also talk about decision making within the house, and they identify two types of families. They talk about how money is shared, really, or who has the control of the funds. And two types of family emerge then: the allowance system, whereby the men work and give the wife housekeep. And the second type was the pooling system, where everything's put into one pot and shared equally. There's been a big increase in pooling in recent years. Professional couples and decision making. Agile studies of decision making among professional couples where both partners were full-time employment also found inequalities. Very important decision making. Were either taken by the husband alone or with him having the final say. Important decisions were usually taken jointly, but less important decisions, for example, food purchases, were made by the wife. There's two main explanations for inequalities in decision making. The first one is the economic factor. That men earn more and therefore make the decisions. Or it's due to our patriarchal socialization. Some feminists would argue that gender role socialization in our society instills the ideal that men are decision makers. And we learn this from a very early age as children during our early socialization. the last aspect of couples that we are going to discuss in this video deals with domestic violence. Domestic violence is too widespread just to be the behaviour of disturbed individuals, as it was once thought it was. So it's too widespread for that. That's too simplistic an argument. The British Crime Survey estimated that there are 6.6 million assaults per year of domestic violence. But these are mainly men against women. That's quite staggering. According to the BCS, nearly 1 in 4 women is assaulted by her partner at some time in her life. Police statistics underestimate this extent because of, so the statistics aren't always accurate because they're not always reported. So domestic violence is underreported. The radical feminists see domestic violence as a result of patriarchy. So they say domestic violence is all due to patriarchy and males trying to dominate women. They say that men oppress women. Mainly through the family, where men benefit from women's unpaid domestic labour, sexual services, and domestic violence, or the threat of it, enables men to control women. So it is inevitable in our society. So it allows control over women. And because of the way we are socialised, it's kind of inevitable. Men also dominate the state, and this is why police and courts fail to take domestic violence seriously. So men are the state, and by that we mean policemen, judges. You know, they're males, and so they don't take domestic violence seriously. Dobash and Dobash found evidence to support this. They found violence was triggered when husbands felt their authority was being challenged. They concluded that marriage legitimates violence by giving power to men. Women are not the only group at risk of domestic violence. Children and young people are also at risk. This is the dark side of the family. Children and young people are dominated and controlled by adults. This is known as age patriarchy. Families that lack resources, e.g. low income or poor housing, suffer more due to stress. So domestic violence is much more common in areas of social deprivation because of the natural stress that's involved. So that really does finish us with the topic on couples.